Available now on Blu-ray from Arrow Home Video is another in their line of classic 70s, 80s martial arts films, and this is The One-Armed Boxer, or I think the on-screen title is One-Armed Boxer. This is a Jimmy Wang Yu film, Jimmy Wang Yu, who is also in Chinese Boxer and a few other titles that they've released from Shaw Brothers. This time out, we have a Golden Harvest production. Golden Harvest was like the other big Chinese or Hong Kong studio from the 70s, well into the 90s. If you know the classic Jackie Chan movies, those were all Golden Harvest films. And I think the Bruce Lee ones actually were too, for that matter. I don't do this about, don't look for me for accuracy. This is more opinion than hardcore information. So I just watched this disc. This is phenomenal. Jimmy Wang Yu stars as, tell me if you heard this one before. This very well could be a remake of another film I've already talked about. I haven't delved deeply into the extras quite yet in light of trying to get this review, out. So Jimmy Wang Yu is a disciple of a certain martial arts school in a certain area of China, and he leads a band of his martial arts brothers to go and take on a bad guy gang. This gang's been bullying people, and they go out in a clearing and they have a fight. And the bad guy gang gets mad, so they enact retribution. And there's this like ping pong back and forth of, we're gonna get him this time. There's not a lot of downtime between fights. There's not a lot of this going on between fight scenes in this movie. And eventually the bad guy gang, the good guy gang, they're very noble, and they're punished. You know, their Sifu, their master, punishes them for doing things that are not, you know, in line with their moral code. And the bad guys are just bad guys. The good guys run a brick factory. The bad guys run an opium smuggling ring. So you see where the lines fall here. So eventually the bad guys are sick of being disrespected by the good guy martial arts school. So they enlist like this international band of martial arts experts from all over Asia. So I had a hard time taking this movie terribly seriously. The Fu is good. It's really well shot. This transfer looks gorgeous. It's a lot of fun, but at times it's very laughable. This is the kind of movie that if you watched with the right crowd would be a blast, because it is cool and it's badass, and it's also intentionally or not kind of hilarious at times. One of those moments is when all of these international kung fu baddies come together and they all have this different look, including one in blackface, which is always a nice touch. And they each demonstrate their styles. And then again, it is more of this back and forth between this group of bad guys trying to defeat the good school and the good school fighting back, and they regroup. And eventually it all leads to the title of this film, One-Armed Boxer. I'm not giving anything away. It's in the title. Jimmy Wang Yu suffers the indignity of having his arm karate chopped off by this long-haired, fang-toothed martial arts maniac, and then he goes off to recuperate in a series of still photos, which was kind of interesting. And he has taught this thing called the crippled fist, I believe, or the crippled palm, where he has to take his one good hand that he has left and thrust it into fire to kill all the nerves, so that this elderly man and his daughter can train him in the ways of this fist that will defeat any enemy. So he's playing the long game. The sequence where he's thrusting his hand into the fire is again kind of unintentionally hilarious, because he has the most over-the-top pained expressions on his face. Oh, did I mention that this film utilizes the theme from Shaft as its theme song? They just cut all of, anytime Isaac Hayes is singing, so it's just that insanely recognizable. This wasn't the only martial arts movie from Hong Kong who did this in that era, by the way. Several used that music, and apparently a lot used Star Wars music too. So I was a little surprised that they were able to clear that for this release, so you actually do hear the Waka Chicka theme from Shaft under the opening titles, and again it pops up throughout the film. So there are some like supposedly deadly serious fight scenes where the theme from Shaft is playing. And Jimmy Wang Yu is thrusting his arm into this fire and basically killing the nerves of the hand he has left with these ridiculous over-the-top expressions while the theme of Shaft plays. So eventually there is a showdown. Eventually all of these kung fu masters from around Asia show off their techniques, some of which are hilariously ridiculous, like the I think it's the Buddhist or the Zen master who he flips his body upside down and he walks around on the point of his finger. At some point, Wang Yu matches him in that technique. So it's two guys who are upside down, hopping around on their fingertip. If that doesn't sell the movie, that's the line of demarcation. If you hear the theme from Shaft and fanged kung fu warrior and crippled palm technique, all this, you either like, this isn't the movie for me, or where can I buy 5 copies? I fall into the 5 copies category. So the movie's it's like 93 minutes. It's not very long. It moves right along. As I said, there's very, very little downtime in this. The dialogue is basically enough for you to catch a breath, or if you were in the theater, go out and grab popcorn or hit the bathroom really fast before the next martial arts sequence comes up. And it's destructive martial arts too. It's like an earlier film. It might have been Chinese Boxer, I believe, where the bad guys come to the kung fu school and they beat up everybody who's in the school, and they're throwing people through wooden walls like there's barely anything left in the thing. At one point, when Wang Yu is demonstrating his crippled palm technique, he hacks at this like pavilion on the grounds of the home where his benefactors live, and basically just tears it down. And the woman's like, "Great, now I got to build another shed." So we have a commentary by Frank Zheng. We have a Wang Yu interview actually on this disc. Original trailer, a trailer gallery, I'm sorry, so multiple trailers. This film was released in the US as The Chinese Professionals, and where it doesn't play up the fact in that ad campaign that Wang Yu is the star and one-armed boxer. It plays up the fact that there are all these martial artists in it, so it kind of tries to turn it into another version of like The Dirty Dozen or The Professionals as far as the ad campaign goes. You get the English language opening credits. You get the still gallery, which is interesting because it shows all that alternate poster art. And it's a fantastic package. This, as I've said in some of these other videos I've done, this is like a new golden age for people who love classic martial arts. So much is getting released from so many different places. Arrow is just pumping them out, and it's fantastic. This was stuff that was never terribly easy to get in this country for everybody. You had to sort of live in certain areas, and certain kind of small labels put it out, and they might be dubbed, they might be subtitled, they might be pan and scan, they might not. This, by the way, also, you can listen to the English dub, or you can listen to it in Chinese with subtitles, and it's just fantastic. I could go on and on, but I'd be talking in circles. It is insane. It is ridiculous. If you love martial arts movies, it's very much worth getting. If you like goofy movies that you want to laugh at, it's worth getting. It is a kind of iconic piece of late period martial arts, late period meaning pre-90s martial arts cinema, and wowzers. I really, really enjoyed the new Arrow Video Blu-ray release of The One-Armed Boxer.